As our family and friends age, the last thing we want to do is discuss plans with them about what they would like as their final farewell. Well, we have sisters Heather Luehrs and Megan Cavanagh that thought the exact same thing. But then they took the time with their parents to find out what their desires were for an end-of-life celebration. A few things surprised them, and that's when they realized that pre-planning absolutely is crucial. Horan and McConaty have been serving the Denver metro area community since 1890, and President and CEO John Horan and his staff regularly earned a 99% satisfaction rate from the families that they serve. They want you to live well and leave well. Plan today. John Horan joins us along with Heather and Megan. It's so nice to see all of you. Thank you for coming and sharing your stories, ladies.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
John, first we have to start out. Traditions have changed. Not everybody wants an in-life celebration like their grandparents had.
No, that's true. And increasingly we're seeing people choose to personalize services. That might mean including memories of a person or a special reception that might incorporate some food or some special drinks, something that was special to that person. We're seeing people choose to display things that we never would have seen at our grandparents' services and incorporate more about the life of that person. And that's something that we try very hard to bring out for people who wish to have that.
You do an excellent job. Just getting to know you over the past months that you've been here on Colorado and Company and sharing some of your clients' testimonials. They have really been emotional, and you've been doing excellent. Why do you think so many people are choosing your company, Horan and McConaty?
Well, I think mainly because of our reputation. You know, I mean, I think that here we are in a metropolitan area where there are lots of chains and different types of companies that are not locally owned and family operated, and I'd like to think that we've earned a reputation for doing things well. And add to that the fact that we have 7 locations throughout the metro area, so it makes it easy for people to utilize us.
And Heather, you and your sister took what could be a very scary step, and you actually planned for your father's end-of-life celebration. Tell me about it.
Well, at the time, our parents were doing pretty well. They were aging, but still able to talk about their lives and the death and dying, so it was a little scary to bring it up because we didn't want to go there, hurt any feelings, make anxious. But to have a pre-planning list kind of keeps it in your head, and you can just kind of check things off, and it just opens the discussion.
And what was it like for you to first take on this step? It had to be kind of scary, like Heather said.
It was. I mean, you're scared because you don't want to have that conversation. You're sad because you don't want to think about these people leaving us. I thought it would be uncomfortable for us to sit down and have this conversation, but it actually ended up being something very beautiful. And my dad was very open, and my mother was there too, so it was really interesting. And the more we talked with him, the more it became something very intimate. And he shared with us many things. He shared the fact that he wanted to be buried at Fort Logan, but he also wanted his ashes spread in Hawaii. And he also said he wanted an Irish wake. And we looked at each other and said, "You do?" So, okay, Dad, that's great. So, and he wasn't sad. He was actually being very matter-of-fact and very loving about it.
Well, and talking about you learning so much that you didn't know before, we had a chance to find out more. Let's take a listen.
We decided to sit down both with my mom and dad, and there's a series of questions that you go through. One was, what type of service would you like? And our father said an Irish wake, and my sister and I both went, oh.
So it was very tender watching the two of them together, and Dad just started to cry in this process, and he said, but wait, I want my ashes spread in Hawaii, in the water.
We would have never known that. We would have never known that that was his wish unless we would have sat down and had that discussion.
Yep. Yeah, so Dad was able to talk about, I want to have a whiskey toast and have my ashes there. So helpful, and I think we shy away from talking about death and dying because it's uncomfortable, and we think somehow if we talk about it, it'll happen or something bad will happen. In fact, something very special happened.
Right.
Wow, beautiful parents. Your dad was a good-looking man. Don't cry. Okay. That was beautiful. Why Hawaii? Why did he say he wanted his ashes spread in Hawaii?
His father was a metallurgist. He built the ships on Pearl Harbor, and so my dad lived there. And that's when he joined the Navy, was after seeing Pearl Harbor happen, and so it was very special to him, very tender.
And this was special for both of you. I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster, but it meant a lot that you could actually share his wishes with others, and you made it happen. What would you say to viewers at home? Why would you encourage them to go through this process?
You know, it takes the fear out of the death and dying, and there's so many memories to share at that time, and we do want to honor wishes of our families, and we don't always know. We were very surprised at what those wishes were.
And after going through this, did your outlook on end-of-life celebrations change at all?
Absolutely. I had never lost a close one before, an immediate family member. So you don't know what this is going to be like. So it was very special. First of all, the pre-planning, but at Horan, it was, you know, we had to go there with my mother, who was traumatized, and they just enveloped us, helped us through the entire process, all the steps, all the decision making, and they made it something special and easier, and honored my mother and honored my father.
Well, we are honored and blessed that you shared your story with us here today. I mean, it definitely is special. And how do you make memories like this special? How do you do this, John?
I think it begins with asking good questions, listening well, and then our job is to find ways to make that happen. And there are a variety of ways that we can suggest to honor someone, but I think it's important that we start by being very good listeners.
And we also need to point out, you want to make it a special celebration, but at the same time, you've got to think of the legal issue too. And Colorado is very different. They have different regulations than other states.
Well, it's true. Most people don't realize that Colorado is the only state in the U.S. that has no standards for people who do this work, that anyone can hold themselves out to do this work, and that happens to be the case.
Right.
And so I think it's good for people to do some homework and to get a sense of confidence that they're dealing with someone who knows what they're doing, who's credentialed, and can actually follow through with the wishes that they have in mind.
And a family-owned business, too. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for sharing the end-of-life celebration for your dad. It was beautiful. Sisters Heather and Megan are very thankful that they took time to learn about their parents' wishes for each of their end-of-life celebrations. Pre-planning helps families financially and emotionally. And most importantly, make sure your loved one leaves well. Horan McConaty is Colorado's most preferred locally owned cremation, burial, and pre-planning provider. HoranCares.com. That's their website, HoranCares.com. They have a full list of services and resources, including grief support. Please call this number, 303-743-8804, and ask for their Live Well, Leave Well planning guide and DVD. Just mention that you saw it right here on Colorado and Company. Horan McConaty paid for this segment.